Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I hope you're doing good. I hope a lot of you are having a really good day today. I must tell you, something I'll say today that I probably won't say very often, if at all. In fact, I never really want to say this, but I just have to be honest with you guys. Like always, I'm just doing my best to be because that's what we gotta just strive for is honest politics. But I just gotta be honest with you as a human being altogether. And today, I'm I'm not in the best mood today. I'm not in the most chipperest of moods as much as I strive to be all the time. Today, I'm actually I today is the worst day I've had in years, actually. At least a couple years. And I can't go into, all of what is going on in my life, just like you couldn't tell me everything going on in your life, if you had 48 hours, because we all got just so much going on. And I got a lot of things going on, I got oh, damn it. Of course, now that I bring it up, I realize I forgot to grab something that I was going to use. It's upstairs. Oh, well. But, I got a bunch of stuff on my mind. I got some health stuff on my mind. I got, life stuff. I got this, of course, on my mind basically more than anything, which is why I'm here. But I have to just, be frank with you guys like always. And today is, it's a Monday. Mondays are always the start of a new week, and it's like, oh, is it great or is it going to be something maybe disastrous? It's how I feel like a lot of people just feel at the beginning of a week. But today is also Valentine's Day, so I hope a lot of you are having a really, really good Valentine's Day. In fact, I know for a fact one person or two people who are having a very good Valentine's Day, Mr. Kalinsky and Mrs. Ball. Who knows, maybe they'll be just Mr. and Mrs. Kalinsky at one point. At some point, that'd be so crazy. I can't believe it, bro. Today on Twitter, that's the thing, I don't even go on Twitter, but I had to today because the, people I am, some of the people that I'm most invested in and have loved are now sharing their own love, which is something truly remarkable. And I'm very glad that they're having a good Valentine's Day. And I hope that's the thing. I actually really the whole crystal ball. I know. As far as I knew, it's like, oh, she has kids and was married, and and who knows what's going on behind the scenes. People, who knows if I mean, technically, my both my parents were married legally for the 3 years that they were divorcing each other, right? So it's who knows what is really going on. But oh my God, a lot of people have different opinions on Crystal Ball, Kyle Klinsky, Sagar and Jetty, all those folk. And I, while having disagreements with just about all of them at different points, and sometimes, I'm not always 100%. Those people are just so they're trying to do something right, like a lot of us are trying to do right now, and they've been trying to do something right for a long time. And it's so nice to see. They started their podcast, Crystal Kyle and Friends, which I'm a supporter of. One of the very few, because I mean nobody's got really much subscription money going around extra, but they're one of the few people that I subscribe to and donate and have since their very beginning when they started that, because I support them in everything they do, and they take zero ad dollars. They're just buying for the people about as much as you can get these days. Any day, really. But today, I wanted to talk about, whatever we want to talk about. Let me pull up the chat just to see if anyone said anything. Just to see, just to check. Ah, something just popped up. I don't know why. I think it was from the last one. I wore this. I guess I should probably address this little thing I'm wearing. I wore this actually once on a different stream already, but then it fell off right at the beginning, which was pretty funny. But I don't, I'm going for some new styles, and I don't care. I don't. There was somebody I saw, like a really tall person, wearing this type of like almost shawly type thing, and I wanted one because I'm tall and maybe I don't know, I like it. I like this little gray thing as well. This is kind of new. Um, but this whole kind of thing is a mix of formal and informal because I'm gonna while I'm wearing suits a lot on here on the campaign trail. Yeah, basically, right? I mean, why not? We should all just wear wear capes if we want to. Who cares anymore? It's a thing, It's I like wearing it. I don't care. But speaking of capes, that's a perfect little segue actually. Um, Mr. Fallbrat. Uh, no capes, Fucking what's that Incredibles lady's name? I don't remember. You know what I'm talking about, big glasses. No capes, heroes and villains and such. A lot of bad guys in movies wear capes, right? But a lot of good guys wear capes too. But it's what the fuck is the purpose of a cape? Just to look nice. All right, I don't know why I'm going off a cape. I'll actually transition now. So I don't know. I am somebody who. Do you have those friends who watch movies and stuff, and there's like somebody who is always just like really obsessed with the villains? And that is me. For my whole life, that's like in every movie, I love looking at the villains because, I mean, as a kid, you're just like, you're cool, duh. But really more, I mean, a villain in a story is, yeah. Yes, sir, that is correct. Well, not yet. Not yet. Let's Okay, so as I was saying, sorry, I'm getting a little distracted as I do. But villains, they're a means to test your empathy. Like a good villain in a movie is somebody that really like tests your level of care and comfortability with what someone's doing because they get you to understand. I mean, someone ever like a lot of people like Loki. He's not even one of my favorites, but that's like everybody gets Loki because he's the outsider, he's the outcast, and you relate, even though of course he's an actual villain. Like he's not a good guy. But what is good and bad other than what we're made to become in our lives that we don't have so much choice over? When you see a villain whose life was made up of by choices that weren't their own, and they lead them somewhere that actually you can understand, that's the most gripping because it tests you. It's a test to actually, and also, a lot of movies don't. It's like we watch movies and then if we don't believe I'll get to, but this has a point, by the way, in real life context. I'll get to it. I promise. But, there's like, in a movie, if the villain is like not as well written, quote unquote, in my words or whatever, right? Like, I fucking know. If it's more like you don't get the villain's motivation and they're just more like straight up like, just a bad guy, evil. It's like, like you don't like it, right? It's almost like it doesn't feel like it makes sense to us. But then that's the thing, is that's what's really scary, is that the real world is chock full of real life villains. Or, I don't know if chock full is the right phrase, but it has some real villains in it. That it's hard to wrap your head around, actually. Like, I personally, like, in the actual Senate and in Congress, in the state legislature, in city councils abroad, I think most people in politics, they're not, and I've said this before, but I think most people are not really, they don't think they're corrupt. They're not trying to do something that they think is like evil. They're there because they made it there in their own life for their own reasons and personal everything, and they think they're a better spot there than somebody else, and they hold the line and make all the, they're part of the system that was given to them, and they've been told by everybody in the system before that you can't change it. So they're like, oh, well, I guess I can't change it, but let me try to do what I'm doing within the system, other than try to change it. So most people actually believe they're the hero, regardless of what side you on. That's true. Just most people, they're there, and they actually think they. People are complex, man. Everybody has their own beliefs and moral systems. But the thing is, all of us really do believe our own. Yeah, like Dick Cheney. No. Yeah, Dick Cheney, bro. He really thinks he's doing good. See, there you go. That's the thing. Is there is actually though more, if a handful, if not more than a handful of people in politics who are 100% just the actual like evil twiddling mustaches. Like you can't understand. Like it's not. Uh, if it were in a movie, you would say was not well written, but it's just, the Joe Manchins of the world, the Dick Cheneys of the world, like you mentioned there, Fob, right? Like, I mean, that's the thing. That's a good parallel between Dick Cheney and George Bush. Like George Bush is somebody you could probably argue he is kind of the like. Fuck, I mean, you can blame him for most of the shit, but he actually believed probably in what he was doing. His dad was the president. His freaking dad, like. And then Dick Cheney is in the background just manipulating everything and isn't caring about the fame of it. It's scary because somebody like Dick Cheney actually, if you think about it, like what makes him scarier than the other ones is that everybody else in politics is there for themselves and really self-centered and has so much ego. And where Dick Cheney actually has like not that much ego. And that even speaks in the sense that you look at like his daughter, not Liz Cheney, I think is the other one, but she came out as gay like a long while ago. Before it was cool, before Obama thought it was cool, really. And Dick Cheney supported his gay daughter. That tells you how little vanity somebody has, is if that they're okay with their children being their own person and not, locking into their exact type of way. Like Dick Cheney didn't care. So that's what's crazy. Dick Cheney really is one of the most responsible for massacres out there people possible. He's one of the most twiddling mustache evil real people we have out there who just literally played the game to play the game and get rich and get Halliburton rich. And it's nuts. It's nuts that we wrestle with that. And he was the vice president. He wasn't even the guy that everybody elected. And he sees some crazy shit. But what was I kind of lost my train of thought just a second ago. Yeah. That's the thing. It's scarier to think of somebody who actually is evil, but they're not even really in it for their self-image. They're just in it. They're actually smarter than most of the other people in there. Like Mitch McConnell's another guy who's like clearly Nancy Pelosi. These people have been there and they don't care. They know what the fuck they're doing, and so it's hard to wrestle with that. And then, now we kind of come out of politics. The real reason I kind of wanted to bring this up is because I actually wanted to mention kind of somebody else who's like a real life villain, and literally he's a real life villain I don't even want to say it because I'm like, bro, am I going to get snipped out the window over there? Kevin Spacey, man, like his whole career that we knew of him, he's one of those actors. There are actors who like play villains and play them really good. Kevin Spacey has played some of the best written villains of all time. He is like such an iconic villain character player. Along, American Beauty, he wasn't a villain, and that, I love that movie. But he's playing villains so often. Seven and the Usual Suspects. I mean, you can even Baby Driver. God, that's a recent one. There's so many I can't even. Horrible Bosses. That one's more now. He was also cast as that dude in the latest movie that they recast him with the real old guy who ended up winning an Oscar for it. But they recast him because of all the drama, fucking crimes. But Kevin Spacey was the bad guy in that. It's called All the Money in the World. So ironic. That's the thing. All this shit. It's like now. Oh. So this guy who has been playing all these villains and like chewing it up and like actually playing the shit. House of Cards, right? Turns out this guy's an actual villain. Like, really. In fact, why is no one talking about? Why did I have to hear about this news through some, like, I didn't hear about this even through like an actual news channel or alternative media even. I heard it through some movie podcast. Literally. Why did I have to find out through some movie shit that Kevin Spacey's 3 or 4 accusers, at least 3, I think even 4 total, 4 accusers of Kevin Spacey have all in the last like 3-4 years just randomly, killed themselves, committed suicide, all of them. Isn't that a little crazy? Guess what? I tell you, if you read the news tomorrow or anytime in the future that random guy from Michigan, Colton Ray Phillips, killed himself. Nope, it wasn't. I didn't do it. I didn't kill myself. I promise. Not that that's the thing is, I'm not really. I don't think I'm in danger. No one gives a shit. I'm not. If I'm actually in danger, if someone's fucking care enough about what I'm saying right here, right now, and is like scared enough of that, if I'm the danger right now by spreading information of Kevin Spacey's accusers all being found mysteriously dead, we're in big trouble if I'm on the radar. So I don't think I don't have anything to worry about. I don't give a shit. I really don't care. But it's crazy because now, I haven't watched American Beauty even or any of his movies in a while because it's so, not that he wasn't even like a favorite actor of mine. That's the thing. I love villains, but he wasn't. I mean, I liked him. I loved his movies. I did, but he wasn't like, one of my favorites. There's other people. There's one other person who's like one of my favorite people who turned out to be a real villain as well. Like actually in the same level or closer to the level of that than, Anyway, I don't want to go into that because that's just a whole thing. Anyway, villains. We need some villain cure. We need to cure that villain ass, just like Toby and Andrew said. Just like Tom said. Just like Miles will maybe say. Who knows, bro? I didn't turn the mic down for that one, so you can probably hear just the click of the fake ivory plastic. So much plastic in the oceans. Look, I can look at anything in this room and apply it to just all the outlandish consumerism or wasteful things, you know. And it's like, for years they've looked at us and it's like, oh, you guys gotta, you know, recycle more, reduce and recycle, and that'll get us, you know. You gotta really just be less wasteful on your own. It's on you. You got all the power in the world, citizen, because remember, that's what this country is, power of the people. You can do it. That's what it's supposed to be. But no individual can save our planet by fucking using less plastic, using paper straws. I mean, it's nice. I'll do it if, like, because why not? It's fun, I guess. Although the paper ones, like, they, you know, they crumble and then you're drinking paper, so it's nuts. How about we just do the right thing? That sounds a lot easier to me. How about we just ask the people responsible to do the right thing? With great power comes great pollution. Yeah, I do. I feel you, bro. I do. All right, let me look at my notes. This is what we go for the notes for. I wasn't lying though. That's the thing. I'm glad I didn't. I would never do it just because I didn't want to. I haven't. Every time I've canceled the stream thus far, it's just because I couldn't do it. Like, actually based on situations. But I really wanted to not do it today because today is a day. And, you know, but every day can be a good day if we just decide to make it one, right? That's what the posters say with the cats on them. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon. Little boy blue and the man on the moon. It's not the right key, but that was what I was singing. Oh, you know, I know what I could talk about real quick. I went and saw somebody the other day. Political person, kind of. Although they've been doing a lot of, not really political things their whole life, but just trying to help people their whole life. And now that's applying to politics, because obviously we need some help around here. But, the lovely, amazing Marianne Williamson. I went and saw her in Chicago last week. Just about 5 days ago. And my trip back, I ended up locking my keys in my car in the parking structure right when I got there. Only second time I've ever done that in my life. So the next day of me trying to leave Chicago was much less fruitful than planned, so I didn't end up getting to stream. I did not get back home until like 8 p.m. But I went to this Marianne Williamson little event because she's now making the rounds again. She's been talking, going around for the last like month-ish or two. And she kind of like took a hiatus for a minute because she ran for president in 2020. And at the time when she ran for president, I was like, oh, like, that's neat. And that's the thing, I already kind of knew a bit who she was. I didn't have a full picture yet. In fact, it took me a while to actually realize, oh, that's who this person is, because strangely, Marianne Williamson actually is very integral kind of in my life in general. My parents were very influenced by her. They got her books in the late 90s and early 2000s. They went to, Marianne Williamson had a church in Detroit. Both my parents attended sometimes, and my grandmother as well. Still rocking today, 91. New. It's all getting into this new thought kind of spirituality stuff. And I never like fully, my belief system and about spirituality stuff is very open. But that's probably because of the lack of concise religious direction they didn't force upon me. And rather it was just the church I went to, which wasn't the same church as Marianne Williamson. We went to a different one after a while. Like at the end of every, this is just a little piece of something to kind of give you a context for what kind of church I went to. It's called, it's still around, Life Enrichment Center, LEC. One of my aunts is a minister, actually. Um, but now I go around there just every Christmas now and then to play some music, because there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with even going there. I have no ills or anything against LEC or any of them. But it's very, like, here's an example of what we would do. Like, every New Year's at this church, we would have a ceremony on New Year's, and we would light a candle for, like, every religion. Or at least the 9 that they, like, knew the most, I guess. Probably more than 9 on the world, but we, like, lit a candle for Hinduism and Buddhism and Christianity and Judaism and Islam and the Baha'i faith and some others that I'm forgetting. But it was just a super open-minded thing where I got to understand that there's a lot of different perspectives on the world, and they're all valuable if you just care to listen to anybody. But Marianne Williamson, now she's back. In her 2020 primary campaign, she was on 2 debates, but she dropped out, relatively earlier. She might have dropped out, like, in the kind of same moment as, like, a lot of them did. She didn't get, a lot of the vote. I think Andrew Yang got more of the vote than her, and Andrew Yang didn't get a lot of the vote either. Only just a couple percents, maybe, even. Get out of here, bot, Mr. Smith. You're literally Agent Smith. Like, get out of here. Get out of here. Go back to Matrix fucking Revolutions. Go back to 2004. Yeah. So Marianne Williams' son was there too. Different, not Marianne Williamson. Marianne Williams, and then her son was there. Completely different person. Anyway. Oh, look, I made a dumb joke. You know what that means? Yeah, she came. She was at a university. It was at Northwestern University, actually, which was nice to be walking around a college campus. There's a bunch of people, doing little protests and things. So it was fun. Unfortunately, I couldn't focus on all that though because Marianne Williamson was there, and she comes from her own perspective. Very spiritual. Very, a lot of things she says in the way she says them and where she comes from. I actually understand and I get, and it speaks to me in a way, or more. If it doesn't speak to me, I get it. I'm like, I understand, and I feel like her perspective is not that of a lot of other people. Maybe especially not. Maybe so. I don't know. Maybe young people. Everyone's into fucking astrology. I wonder if that kind of cross sections with open New Thought spirituality. Course in Miracles, as they say. Que sera, sera. But she's kind of the opposite. She's the inverse of somebody like Andrew Yang almost. Not the opposite, but she comes from a different perspective. Whereas, like, Andrew Yang is literally, he calls himself as, like, I'm the numbers guy. And he has his whole thing was math. Like, not MAGA. Instead of Make America Great Again, it was Make America Think Harder. It's an interesting idea. And he's trying to appeal for more of, like, here's just some, like, solutions I have. Some, like, real, just like, I've looked at here's a problem I think, and here's what I think are some solutions. And a lot of them I agree with. A lot of them I think are great ideas, and we just need more ideas. And then Marianne Williamson, on the other end, is, I saw both of them in Chicago at different times in the last, like, 6 months, which was great. But they're both, like, Marianne Williamson, she comes from, a spiritual sense. Not really mathematical at all. In fact, she's just very, all about just the feelings and the situations based on, us as people more than numbers. And, Andrew Yang, coming from numbers, is doing the same thing, but he's trying to come from it as a human angle as well. He calls it human. We need to have human-centered capitalism. That's the thing. He says that. And a lot of people are like, did you just say capitalism? Like what? And he's like, no, human-centered capitalism. And a lot of people are like up in arms like, what? Huh? And I'm like, bro, can you all just calm down? They're words. In fact, that word means way better than what we have right now, which is not human-centered capitalism. Whatever word you want to make up to describe what we need something. And so he's appealing to different people, and Marianne Williamson is appealing to way different people, like different than even Bernie would probably be. Not the way he talks, although all of them, it's like Bernie, Marianne, and Andrew Yang. The reason all of them are kind of rising up right now is because it's clear to see that these people, Marianne, she cares. She actually gives a shit and isn't, she's not methodically planning shit like Dick Cheney, but she doesn't give a shit about her ego and her self-image like Bush. These people just want to do something actually that's good, and you can tell because they prove. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know. There's been times where I really have faith in somebody and then they lose me. I mean, I have mixed views on Tulsi Gabbard now. I'm eager to see what she chooses to do, but yeah, I had a little more hope and faith in her at one point. Same with Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren was someone I really supported and thought actually cared. But then when the time came, guess what? She didn't even endorse Bernie. She didn't even officially drop out. She just waited to stay in the race to take away the progressive vote. She didn't drop out. She didn't even win her own home state. She got third in her own home state. And she just stayed in. I wonder why. Super interesting, Elizabeth Warren. Well, you know who didn't do that and endorsed Bernie immediately? Marianne fucking Williamson. And now Marianne is on the scene, and her tone and her message has changed. It is refined. And while, you know, her perspective is still her perspective, and it comes from a lot of places of talking about, you know, love and compassion and things. And it might be not some people's cup of tea, but I think it's actually everyone's cup of tea because it's authentic and it's genuine and it's compassionate, and that's what we need. That's what we literally need. Like, regardless if you even don't like being nice. Like, some people, it makes you feel good to be nice. Some people genuinely, it's like, I don't want to be nice to people because I don't. Why be nice to somebody who didn't do a shit for me? Well, guess what? Compassion, we really need it as a solution to survive. And I'm glad I like being nice, but a lot of people in this world are just you know, dicks. And there's a lot of dicks who like don't want to mind anybody's business. They're like not a shitty person. What am I talking about right now? See, this is the point where I'm talking and I'm like, okay, you should just shut up. But I'm not gonna shut up, am I? Because we just need compassion. Yeah, no one really endorsed Bernie. It is sad, except Marianne. She did. Did anybody else? That's the thing. That's why I remember, because there were so few. Like, I was waiting after Super Tuesday. I'm like, okay, please, Elizabeth Warren, like, endorse him. Endorse him, please. What are you doing? What are you waiting for? And then in the back of my head, I'm like, I actually already know, because you showed us your true colors earlier in the primary when you, out of nowhere, came up with the fake story about Bernie being a sexist, telling you could never be president. When there's clips of him in the 80s talking to children, looking at a girl saying, you could be president one day. Because, of course, what? No one believed her. And there's no... Bernie tried to get Elizabeth Warren to run in 2016, and she didn't want to. And he's like, fuck, okay, I guess I will. Because he never has ever wanted to do it. That's why he's only tried now in the last stage of his life, because he's like, okay, fine, I guess my life's come to an end. I gotta try. I actually have to try. But he didn't really want to. And that's another thing, is like, oh, like Bernie, a lot of people can criticize him, and I do, almost just his strategic, you know, he didn't put enough fight in at the end, maybe, a lot of people say. But that's the thing, it's not so much he didn't. He's been fighting his whole life. He's been fighting his whole life. And, you know, he can only be what he is. He's a compassionate guy, and that's unfortunately why his 2020 campaign wasn't as strong, because unfortunately he actually was and is friends with Joe Biden, because they, guess what, have been in the Senate and Congress together for decades. Joe was in the Senate before Bernie. A decade before, actually. He's one of the only other people probably there who can rate to Bernie on a level of being that old and knowing how the shit used to really be. And even seeing the shit before it changed, before neoliberalism. That's how long they've been around. So it's like not a question of like, oh, it's just unfortunate. Like, he just ran a better campaign in 2016 because genuinely he wasn't friends with Hillary Rodham Clinton and the Clintons, and he had a lot of more just say my Bernie impression on point. I'm so surprised. I don't even remember what I said, but I'm glad you appreciate it. But yeah, it's like, you know, he didn't go, well, Hillary Clinton's a good friend of mine, because she wasn't. Joe Biden was. And so it's just more unfortunate that that was the fight we got, because Bernie, on his own morals, I think my belief is that he literally was like, I'm not going to just start calling this dude corrupt to his face, because I actually am going to try and do it in a way that isn't as harsh, because he has feelings for this guy as a person, as a human being, as someone he actually knows and does. That's the thing. Bernie has been there as well. And in a way, he's almost, he's too biased to the people who are meandering and like pretending like they're not, like the Obamas, like the Bidens, like, I mean, shit, the Warrens, if you really want to talk about it. Like if Bernie would have run independent after both those races, you know, a lot of people don't think it would have been possible. Be fucking surprised. Oh my God. If you were just talking to people, if you have been just talking to people, you know what the moment is. You know how everyone was so surprised when Trump won? You know how everyone was like, there's no way he could win. It's such a joke that he's even running. It's so funny. Oh my God. Like, remember when SNL literally, like, they had a skit and they're like, can we just say this already? President Hillary Clinton? And they're like, and then Obama made it like a thing where he's like, well, at least I will go down in history as a president. It's like the most cockiest, fucking out of touch guy. Like, I don't like Trump. Guess what? I didn't want Trump to become president. But he became president because of how out of touch the Democratic Party is, and elites in general. I mean, Republicans didn't even realize how big he was. Republican Party hated Trump too. They're like, what the fuck? They didn't read the moment. Nobody read the moment. And something unexpected happened. Everything is unprecedented until it does. Like a candidate winning an election when every single poll prior had him having like 15 to 20% chance of winning. And it was like so unlikely. And guess what? It happened. 15 to 20% is still a chance. It ain't zero. So many people who you know actually think Bernie wouldn't have won as an independent. It's just so it's so disheartening to me, because I know that it would have happened. Oh my God, you guys. And it makes me even more sad that that's the thing. Bernie didn't believe it could happen. Bernie didn't believe he could do it. But he was the people's candidate, man. He's the one everybody wanted. It's clear. Could see that clear as day. He would have beat Trump in a fucking heartbeat. Are you kidding me? Bernie is like the most... He's still at it, man. He's all there. Biden, I don't know, man. But Bernie is still sharp as shit. And he's going to be 83 in 2024. Man, so it's the thing. It's like, oh, like, I do not expect him to run in 2024. Fucking, I didn't expect him to run in 2020 even. I was so happy he did. But like, God... He ran in 2016. Imagine if right now we were in Bernie's second term. Oh, fuck. But we're not. And he probably can't run again. He wouldn't. I mean, let the man retire. He's fought his whole life, and he's been screwed over by these people trying to fight him his whole life. And he is an independent. He actually, it's like, whoa, he literally is an independent. Like, it wouldn't even be an issue if he ran it. But he's scared. It's the thing, Bernie, the Democrats have Bernie's more scared of Trump than of the entire establishment, even though he's known the establishment's been doing shit for his whole life. But he's not tricked. It's a real thing. It's like all the other people who really believe it. There's even some things that really Bernie believes, and he's now, guess what? Surprise, surprise. Bernie, at his late stage in life, is a little bit out of the loop on how he's being duped. Well, I mean, God, cut him some slack. He fucking is better on it than everybody else. But, God, it sounds like I'm having a conversation in my head. I don't know if that's concerning or not. That was Jerry just talking there. And Mike's about to come up and just give a little spiel. No, see, now I'm not going to do that, because I was like, I should make a voice. And I'm like, no, I don't want to even make a voice. What am I going to do? What am I doing? I'm doing something. America needs you, Bernie Sanders. Bernie, you know what to do. Things are looking bad. I know you would be mad to see your favorite man in some land we love. America's wondering how we got here. Bernie, could you please come home? Getting safer cars and rocket ships to Mars to save us from and never found a piece of power. I used to love you, speak your mind, plain and simple ways. Come on, what is it? There it is. Plain and simple ways. Call a spade, just like you did back in the days. And you would play piano and never sung the style. America's calling. Bernie Sanders, Bernie, you know what to do. The world's turning around and losing lots of ground. Oh, Henry, is there something we can do to save the land we love? Whoa, whoa, whoa. America's calling, Bernie Sanders, Bernie, you know what to do. Little trouble now. Oh, Bernie, is there something we can do to save the land we love? Bernie, Bernie, is there something we can do to save the land we love? Bernie, Bernie, is there something we can do to save the land we love? Shit, what is it? See, that's how the rendition should be. The actual song is called Harry Truman by the amazing band Chicago. Which is funny enough, I was in Chicago, so, you know, look at all these connections. But definitely, Chicago, bro, you guys, if you're listening, Chicago, the band, I saw you at the Toledo Air Zoo once. You definitely should do a new version of that song and just replace it with Bernie Sanders. Because Harry Truman, you know, while much better politician probably than any of ones we have today, the era of politicians back then, at least were still willing to do shit and public programs and things. But Harry Truman is no Henry Wallace. Oh, now if you're not understanding what I'm saying, you're like, where are you going now? But Henry Wallace is what that song should be really called, because that's the VP that FDR had that should have made it. But then the Democratic Party, the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, decided in his last term, because they were afraid of FDR dying in his term like he did, and his vice president, who was the second most popular politician at the time, Henry Wallace, who was the most progressive politician we've ever had elected in history, maybe, at least to that highest of office. They were so afraid of that because, you know, he was going to continue on FDR's, you know, second Bill of Rights. He was a farmer. He was the Secretary of Agriculture before he became the Vice President in his second term and was there for his third. And they kicked him out in his fourth because they're like, we need Harry Truman, this guy who is going to serve us, actually, and not change things too much and not, you know what Henry Wallace said, our almost president Henry Wallace? He said, I don't bow down to my capitalist masters. That was what our vice president said less than 100 years ago. I want you to just understand that for a second. So if you think somehow us having human-centered capitalism or social democracy is like a step too far to a place we've never talked about before, then the reason we have Social Security, the reason we have a minimum wage at all, the reason we got out of depression, not just because of the war, but because of the New Deal and the New Deal, bro. It was a bunch of federal programs, just jobs given to you, jobs created by the government for you. Like, do we forget that we got this button here we can press called doing something actually good? Oh, yeah. They don't think it's even an option anymore. Everyone's so freaked out about shit. But literally, in my grandma's life, who's still alive, not my great-grandma, my grandmother was born in 1930. A year, if Martin Luther King was alive today, he'd be 1 year older than my grandma, who's 91. And she's still alive. My regular grandmother, not my great-grandmother. That's how not far away this shit is, guys. And how soon the future is going to be here. I mean, just think about it for a second. Like 2030. What do you think it's going to look like in 2030? I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody can know. But do you think it's going to look like how it looks right now? Do you think it's like going to look anywhere similar to what it looks like in the last 40 years of stagnated neoliberalism, where before you could see our wages, literally, up through the 40s, 50s, 60s, the wages and income of high-class people, the elite class, the top 1%, and middle-income Americans. They climb together. You watch them. They keep climbing. And then suddenly, 1971 hits, and boop! And middle-income Americans just stopped making more money. And it just kept going up, and it's still going up now. Because in 1971, Nixon changed the gold standard shit with the dollar because we ran out of money and decided we should just print money. And whether or not you think that's a good idea or not, whether you think that's economically sustainable, is a good idea for how we think it should work, I don't know. I don't know what you think. But regardless of what you think or I think, we have been, since 1971, printing money. Just printing extra money. And this is where it's all gone. Right under your nose. Our country over the last 50 years now, 50 years! Over the last 50 years, all the wealth we've created as a country, all of it, has escaped you. All of it was taken from you, actually. Because since then, we've also changed a lot of our tax law, you betcha. Our tax law was not the same as it was in the 50s and 60s, where the wealthy was actually taxed almost more than 70% of all their shit. And they still were more wealthy than middle income because they're wealthy. Duh. But that's the thing. I'm not even, I think if we talk about how we should update our tax system, we'll get lost in the mix because really, here's the thing. I'm not okay. Like people on, a lot of people on the right, libertarians, like there's a thing where they're like, taxation is theft. And I'm like, no, that's not what I subscribe to. Theft is a thing of people taking something from you. But I get it, right? Because really, since 1971, the entire wealth of our country has been taken from the middle-income Americans, all of us. And that's why everyone's fucking poor today. Especially young people, especially everyone I know. So I can't just keep watching as these real-life villains continue to justify this system that, while I actually think it has a lot of merits, and in fact, the whole reason we're here, you have to be able to appreciate the convoluted, fucking crazy mess of a corrupted financial fucking hog mess of a system this is. But it's actually something to appreciate because we got here. All these people, they worked really hard for the last 50 years to lull us into a state of not caring. And they've successfully done it. They did it. They won. You did it, Jeff. You did it. Congratulations. Just like Bo says. I'm done. We have to be done because guess what? Either in the next 10 years, by 2030, either all this minutia that they've shoved onto our face that doesn't actually matter, either all that will have imploded because we can't take any more unrest. I don't know if you've seen what's been happening in the last few years, but people aren't fucking okay. So either within the next 10 years, a lot of this shit isn't what it is because of something that we can't see yet. Because of something that, I don't know, it's pretty terrifying to think about. Something, angry. Regardless of what side it is, because there's anger everywhere. That's all the only thing you can trace. Or the other option is that all of this minutia is gone, not because it was forced to be destroyed by the people it was fucking persecuting, but because they're changed by those people who decided that it's time for the next step, and it's time for us to forge this piece in history of a renaissance we've been in. What a crazy moment in time this is going to be to look back on, if there's a fucking future to look back on. Well, there will be. That's the thing. Regardless, it's going to be, regardless of all the climate anxiety we have and possible horrible futures of this planet. I mean, shit, do you want to be a scattered remains of people who remember and can't live the same way they used to, and just remember the fucking folly and horrible failure and cowardice of the fucking humans that came before them? Or do you want to have the history be looking at from a whole new era of people and lives, and adjusted and new living, a new world of compassion and respect and understanding and evolution beyond the fucking, there's more to life than just competition. That's it. We can't have life without competition. George Carlin at one point he was talking to me, he's like, competition and cooperation. Both have carried the human race so far. Both of them have been required for all of so many advances we've done. Cooperation and competition, really. But in the last 100 years, competition won. And competition, through the growing forces of our military might and our political power and our wealth, it's overshadowed every ounce of even really believing that there's compassion and cooperation and goodwill, left in any of it. But I promise you it is there. And I promise you a lot of people that you actually think are, right now they're not on our side. We just got to replace the really ugly ones. And the people who are more believing they're doing what's right. Just watch. You'll be surprised how many of them change their tune. The abolitionist movement, man. Fucking watch Lincoln. That shit had to happen somehow. And it did. Something completely unprecedented that nobody even wanted, because it's so demanding of a thing to try and get done. But guess what? We did it because we're fucking America, and we're full of shit and riches and bitches and the motivation to do whatever the fuck we want. Whether that's horrendous things or saving the goddamn world from ourselves. So on this last minute here, I'll leave you guys with that. And I appreciate you guys hopping on the stream and listening to me ramble. I really hope you guys have had a good Valentine's Day. And whoever you're spending it with, even if that's just you and, your floor and ceiling and fucking addiction device. I hope you have the best day you can. And let's keep fighting. Stay strong, everybody. Oh, wait. Let me just play a little something, because it's the end, I guess. That song and one other one that I played on the stream, those will be released at some point this year by a certain group. Maybe, maybe not. I didn't say nothing. Did I?